Canada just dealt a stunning $214 billion trade blow to the U.S., leaving Americans shook and confused. As Americans, we're used to being the ones calling the shots when it comes to trade deals. We've got a big stick, and we're not afraid to use it. But this time it was Canada that stole the spotlight, blindsided the U.S., and inked a massive deal that could change the economic game. And here's what you need to know about this wild turn of events. In today's episode, we break down how Canada just flipped the trade script and landed an incredible $214 billion deal that has everyone from businesses to politicians scratching their heads. It's a move so bold that even the White House is taking notice. So if you want to understand what's driving this shakeup, keep watching because we're about to dive into the details. Before we jump in, please take a second to like this video. Let's get started. So let's set the stage. On July 2023, Canada made headlines by signing a mind-boggling new trade deal with none other than China. This isn't your average agreement. We're talking about a whopping $214 billion in trade. It's got economists buzzing about the potential impact on both countries and the U.S. too. Now, you might be wondering why this matters to us, especially since we're not directly involved. Well, buckle up, because this deal has some major implications that go beyond just Canada and China. Now, let's talk about what makes this deal such a game changer. First off, the sheer size of it is mind-boggling. $214 billion in trade is a lot of money. And it's not just about the immediate impact. It's also about the long-term potential for growth. Secondly, the timing couldn't be more interesting. With tensions between the U.S. and China at an all-time high, this deal seems to be a strategic move by Canada to diversify its trade partners. And that brings us to the third point. It's a surprising move. No one saw it coming. It really caught the U.S. off guard. You see, Canada has traditionally relied heavily on trade with the U.S., but this deal signals a clear shift towards China. So what does this all mean? So what are the ripple effects that could impact us all? Why should you care about a trade deal between Canada and China? Well, here's the thing. Trade deals aren't just about the countries involved. They shape global markets, and they have a domino effect. As we dive deeper into this, you'll see how this deal could reshape everything. Now, you might be wondering why we're talking about a Canadian deal on an American channel. Well, it's simple. This isn't just a random trade deal. It has direct implications for you and me, for American businesses, and the U.S. economy. And let's face it, in today's interconnected world, what happens in Canada doesn't stay in Canada. So why is Canada making this bold move now? Well, let's take a closer look at what's driving this decision. For starters, Canada needs to boost its economy. It's been hit hard by the pandemic, and it's looking for new opportunities to grow. China represents a huge market for Canadian goods and services, so it's an attractive option. Plus, diversifying trade partners is always a smart move. It reduces risk and creates more stability for a country's economy. And let's not forget about the political landscape. Canada needs to assert itself on the global stage. This deal is a way to show that it's not just a small, friendly neighbor of the U.S., but a major player in its own right. In fact, you can think of this as Canada's way of flexing its economic muscle, saying, hey, we're open for business and we've got a lot to offer. And let's not dismiss the human factor. Canadians want better access to Asian markets. They want to expand their horizons and do business in a part of the world that's growing rapidly. This deal makes that possible. It opens doors and creates opportunities for Canadian entrepreneurs. In a nutshell, this trade deal is about growth, stability, influence, and opportunity. It's a forward-thinking move by Canada that could pay off big time. Here's the thing. This deal isn't just a win for Canada or China. It sends shockwaves throughout the global economy, especially for the U.S. Why? Because it challenges the status quo. It shows that countries are willing to look beyond traditional partners and strike deals that benefit them directly. In other words, it's a wake-up call for the U.S. It's a sign that it can't rest on its laurels and expect to always be the top dog in trade. This deal is a turning point. It shows that Canada is stepping out of the shadows of the U.S. and forging its own path on the global stage. And you have to admire that kind of ambition. It's a reminder that in the world of international relations, complacency is dangerous. The U.S. needs to stay sharp, adapt, and be ready to make bold moves when needed. Otherwise, it might find itself on the sidelines while other countries take the lead. And that's where the rubber meets the road. The U.S. needs to rethink its strategies, adapt to the changing times, and ensure it stays a major player in global trade. If not, it risks being left behind as other nations forge new partnerships and drive the global economy forward. The lesson here is clear. In the dynamic world of international relations, you can't afford to stand still. You either evolve or you fall behind. That's a reality check that the US can no longer ignore. Now let's get back to the topic. When it comes to Canada and China, there's a significant power shift underway. Canada is making a strategic move to reduce its reliance on the US and diversify its trade partners. And China is offering a tempting proposition. Here's a breakdown of this evolving situation and its implications. Canada's strategy is all about reducing its dependency on the US for economic stability. Historically, Canada has had close ties with the US, and much of its trade has flowed through this partnership. However, it's wise to diversify and reduce reliance on a single market. By strengthening ties with China, Canada is creating a more balanced and resilient trade portfolio. China, on the other hand, is offering attractive terms for a trade deal. For years, it's been a major player in global trade, offering access to vast markets and lucrative opportunities. For Canada, it's a chance to tap into a growing economy with enormous potential. The offer is enticing and aligns well with Canada's goal of expanding its global reach. But hold on a minute. Are the US and Canada actually at odds? Not quite. While the trade deal with China might seem like a strategic move away from the US, it's not necessarily about shifting alliances. It's more about broadening horizons and creating new opportunities. Canada still values its relationship with the US, but it's also keen on exploring other avenues for growth and stability. Now, here's a question you might be wondering. Is this trade deal a way for Canada to exert influence over the US? It's an intriguing thought. By diversifying its trade partners and reducing its dependency on the US, Canada is certainly enhancing its position in the global market. Having leverage and options is always a good thing. However, it's important to note that this trade deal isn't explicitly about exerting influence over the US. It's primarily about creating a more stable, prosperous future for Canada. So how does this deal specifically benefit Canada? Well, let's explore some key advantages. Firstly, market access. China represents a huge market for Canadian goods and services. Trade deal opens doors and provides opportunities for Canadian businesses to expand their customer base and increase sales. It's a chance to tap into a consumer market that's both large and growing. Secondly, reduced dependency on the US by diversifying its trade partners. Canada reduces its reliance on a single market. This is crucial for economic stability and resilience. It allows Canada to spread its risk and create a more balanced trade portfolio. Thirdly, increased competition. The deal brings in more competition, which can be a good thing. It forces Canadian businesses to improve, innovate, and offer better products and services to stay competitive. This, in turn, can lead to lower prices and more choices for consumers. Fourthly, strategic partnerships. Trade deals often lead to strategic partnerships and investments. Canadian and Chinese companies can collaborate, share resources, and work together on joint ventures. These partnerships can create synergies, foster innovation, and drive economic growth for both sides. Finally, enhanced reputation. Successfully navigating a trade deal with a major player like China enhances Canada's reputation on the global stage. It showcases Canada's ability to forge strong international relationships and manage complex negotiations. This can open doors for future trade deals and partnerships. Overall, this trade deal is a strategic move for Canada, helping it reduce its dependency on the US, access new markets, increase competition, foster strategic partnerships, and enhance its reputation on the global stage. It's a proactive step towards creating a more stable and prosperous future for the country. If you enjoyed this video, you might be interested in another video we did about the United States. Check it out.